Hey everybody, Richie Smith here from LensWizard.com, and we're in Lightroom today, and we're going to talk about importing. Now, again, most of my videos are geared towards the beginners, but maybe some of you photographers that have been around for a while will pick up some little tidbits if you use Lightroom, and there's always a lot of little interesting things that you might not have noticed about it. So, with that said, I've sat down with and actually been right next to photographer friends of mine who've had Lightroom as long as I have had it, many, many years, and there's just little things that they didn't notice that they could use and that they just didn't know was available to them because they just go in, they hit import, and they just let it do its thing. So again, geared for the beginner, but let's dive right in. So one of the first things some people say to me is, I can't find where to import. Sometimes there's this import dialog down here in the corner, and if I go over here, it's not there. It says copy paste. You have to be in the library module to import. And right now I'm in the develop module. I'm looking at this picture of this model here, and I'm in the develop. So it's all about developing. It's not about importing. So we need to get over to the library module, and library can be achieved by clicking here. It can also be achieved by clicking down here. Now, when I go down here, if you notice that little meta tag comes up that says G, so that's even quicker yet. The keyboard shortcut of G takes me over to library, and now magically there's that import button has appeared. Okay, so click on import, and it opens up another window within Lightroom. It opens up an actual import dialog window here. So first thing I've noticed, and I'm going to tell you that this reads like a book. It reads from left to right, and when I say left to right, we're actually going to go over the top here and down. So I like to explain it to people that way. That's the flow of it. And here is all of my drives, and as you can see, it has already found the SD card in the E drive and knows it's from a Canon camera. So, and it says it up here, and so we're importing from. See the little word from. We're importing from here, and we're going to go someplace else. But now there's a little box here, and you can put a check in there, eject after import. A lot of people they don't even pay attention to that. So at least people that I've sat with, they're like they didn't even know it was there. And it's just nice to, if you want to eject after import, which most people do. So now, by default, you may be set up as copy as DNG, which is a digital negative, and that's a good file to work with. That's fine. I like to work with RAWs. That's just my personal preference, and it's a RAW file that I shot, and that's what's sitting on the SD card, and I like to bring a RAW file, that RAW file, right on over into Lightroom. So, but some people like to work with digital negatives, and I'm going to do a whole tutorial about files on down the road as digital negative versus RAW versus a TIFF and a JPEG and a PNG and all that kind of stuff. But for right now, you see these are grayed out. They're not even available to you. Move and add. Move is if you want to move something from one drive to another drive. That's when you'll use that. But for importing, we want copy. So now we go over to here. Now, Lightroom, for whatever reason, has decided to put it in my C drive, which is kind of that's the default, but I never put it there. And usually, once I change this, for the most part, it stays where I changed it to. But today it didn't. So it's good to always check it. I want to actually, I never put stuff on my C drive. I put all my files on my M drive. So now building preview, we're just going to go right on down. Okay, Adobe puts them in the order really that you need to look at them. So do you want to build smart previews? I do. And my previews, there's 3-4 different options here. And minimal, if you really want to work fast and quick, minimal does just that, but it gives you a minimal preview. And I'm not going to talk too much technical on these. A lot of people choose minimal. I choose the embed inside car. It's a little bit slower. There's the standard. You can choose that one. That one's fine, and a 1-to-1 doesn't matter. It either way, you're going to get a preview. So, do you want to build the previews? Smart previews are good because they give you a preview of the image even if the drive has been unhooked. Okay, so that's kind of a good thing. You know, a lot of programs, if you unhook the drive, you don't even see the folders anymore. So you're not going to see the folders in your computer, but Lightroom, you will see the folders. They'll have a question mark letting you know that it's been unplugged, but it gives you a preview of what was in that folder. So that's kind of a cool thing. Don't import suspected duplicates. Well, if we look at our images here, and you notice these are a bunch of just stupid, crazy images. These images were off my wife's point and shoot camera, and I was doing some testing with flash up here. I was shooting some, an old coin down here. I was checking for detail, how it was going to work, stuff like that. And these others are family shots. Those family shots were actually on the card. I never deleted them. I don't want to import them again. Okay, so don't import suspected duplicates. Now, quite oftenly, I erase or I format my card and I don't have to worry about that. But maybe I shot 200 photos and then I go out the next day and I shoot 200 more photos. And I've imported those first photos on the first day, but I never cleaned them off the card. I don't want to import them again. Okay, I can go and delete them, I know, but so there. That's now. Here's another thing. Make a second copy too. Well, for these files, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, these are just crappy little photos that I was messing around with a point and shoot camera, taking pictures of a two-way radio and some blown out highlights there and an old coin. But if these were important photos, if I was doing this, maybe they're wedding photos, maybe they're anniversary, retirement party, graduation, your kid won the soccer game. These are important photos to you. Maybe your son won the motocross race that day. So, do you want to make a second copy? Hard drives have been known to crash, and computers crash, and stuff like that. So if I have important photos, I make a second copy to my J drive, and I have it listed as 2015, but nonetheless, they're going in there, and I'll sort them out later. So you can check that. And what it does is it's simultaneously. You don't have to wait any extra time or anything like that. While it's downloading to my M drive up here, it's also striping it right on over to the J drive. Now, add to collections. If you're new to Lightroom, you might not really know what collections are, but collections, I have a lot of them, as you can tell. As you get more familiar with Lightroom, you're going to realize that you have Lightroom Mobile available to you. And if you make a collection, you can first off find it very quickly. Just a real quick breakdown of collections. Say I go to the soccer game and I shoot a bunch of photos of the kids out in the parking lot before the game, right? We're hanging out and we're having some fun. And then we go in and we shoot the game, okay? And then there's the after party at the ice cream stand where they won the game and I'm shooting those photos. And they're all going to be in the same folder. But maybe I want to break them down where I can find them easily and I can make collections. So that's just a brief synopsis of what collections. But collections are available to sync to Lightroom Mobile. And there will be a tutorial about Lightroom Mobile later. So I'm not for, if I did want to make a collection, I can add it to a collection I already have. If I wanted to do that, I could add them to here, or I could make a new collection. And we'll talk about collections, but just so you know, here's an option a lot of people don't know that it's available to them. If you're going to make a collection, you're going to make a collection, why not do it while you're importing? Why go and waste the time to do it afterwards? Just do it while you import. So I had a couple photographer friends that didn't really understand what that was and how that was available to them. File renaming, kind of self-explanatory there. If it's not important, I just save the stuff with a date and the file name, and the file name is the number of the file. So it's you have these options available to you. Actually, this is the one. No, custom. Let's see. This is the one I typically choose right here. And now I do have other things that I can custom make. And again, that's a tutorial for another day. But typically, that's what I choose. Now, if you want to rename them and you want to make it a custom name, maybe you want the original file number so that you can kind of know what that is, but you want a custom name. It was Joey's Soccer Game, Joey's Soccer Game Season 1, or Joey's first soccer game, whatever. You can name it. Um, okay, develop settings. I have lens corrections, and it's labeled as 2014. That's when I made the preset. So you have the option. Again, I'm not going to go too much into presets. This tutorial is mostly about importing, but you have the option if there's a certain preset. In this case, it's lens corrections. Okay, Lightroom has the ability to know what lens that you're shooting with on your camera, and it will make the corrections for the distortion. Say you're shooting with a 50 millimeter, it's going to have a little bit of distortion. And I like to, instead of going through after the fact, I let Lightroom make that correction as it's putting the photos in. Why not? Why go back and do it later? Keywording. Keywording I love, but I don't get crazy with it. I just, for something like this, if I was going to keyword this, I would call it Lightroom video, and maybe junk, and maybe I can't spell because I'm not looking at the screen while I'm typing, not really seeing what I'm doing. So, and maybe you got to separate them by a comma, and maybe I would put like radio and coin. And as you see, when I put coin in there, it comes up because I've used that before. Okay, and then click it again and it accepts them and it goes gray. Want to put them into a subfolder? I never really do that. I put stuff in folders by date, and that's pretty much it. And then I break stuff down into collections. Some people might use subfolders. So now, this one down here is very interesting because this is telling you where they're going. So they were going to the C drive. It had that open. They're not going to the C drive. They're actually going to the M drive. Okay, and that's where I want them to be. So now that we have all that, I can close that, and now I can hit import. And it's going to import the photos. You're going to see your status bar up here in the upper left, and the photos are coming in. Now, I didn't go through the part where, check or uncheck which photos you want. Again, I think most people already know that. If you don't, I'm sorry that I didn't go over that, but most people know in that dialogue that we just seen before, there were check boxes, and if you don't want a photo, you uncheck it. And it had a thing for check all or check none. So our photos are coming in. Now that they've been imported, it's building the smart preview. We're in grid view of library, and we can go and look at the image. So I hope this helps everybody out. Just to give you some idea of basic import, and maybe a little beyond the basic import, because some people just put the SD card in, they go over here, they hit import. Sometimes they don't even know where the photos are going. They just say, they're going in somewhere because Lightroom's going to show them to you. But then if they wanted to go actually find the actual photos without Lightroom, they can't find them. They don't know where to. So any questions, you can always email me or message me, and I'd be happy to help you out with it. It's not a problem. And as always, you can check me out at you know lenswizard.com. You can check me out on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter, not too much, but Instagram, Facebook, and over on my blog site, which is lenswizard.com. You can find a link to the blog at recklesspixel.com. Thanks so much, everybody, and have a great day.